such a time as this.
And welcome to For Such a Time as This Roundtable. For such a time as this roundtable, please, the one person out there, we're back. Give me a thumbs up. Now we're up to 2 thumbs up that you can actually hear us coming through loud and clear. We usually run about between 1 to 200 since they've started censoring us on our playbacks for our live channel. But we've got something for them. We're gonna figure out a way to boost our numbers higher through Instagram and Twitter. So if you could give me a thumbs up, I think we're coming through loud and clear. I have with me round table. I have with me Professor Abigail Ruth and Professor Vicki Wilson. How are you doing this evening, ladies?
Very good, thank you.
And I'm doing just fine.
Well, it's been a while since we've been here.
It has.
We need to get back on the horse. Weekly roundtables, weekly pushing back against the foolishness. Well, I shouldn't say foolishness.
You can say that, can't you?
Yeah, I can say that. I'm trying to be nice.
I'm trying to come up with words and not sin, Pastor James. With just when I watch the news and talk about what's going on, I'm like, what can I say? Even when I say useful idiot, I feel kind of guilty. So I'm like, but I came up with another one.
That's a term, though, that the Russians call us. So we're not saying it. The Russians are saying it. We're quoting the Russians.
Okay. Well, they didn't call us useful idiots, but
anyone who would fall underneath their thumb.
No, anyone who was promoting them without realizing exactly what they were promoting. That wouldn't be us.
No, the Americans, you useful idiots.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
they loved it. So they have tons and tons of what do you call those things again on the internet? The pictures.
Memes.
The memes. Yes, it is. The memes with Stalin and Mao. All American little kids talking about communism. Oh, good job, useful little idiots. Good job, useful little idiots. But
if it were only the kids, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. So, want to as always encourage people to go to our web page. Excuse me, for such a time as this .today. For such a time as this .today. Thank you, J13 Ministries. Sounds good. And Lexington, South Carolina. J316, are y'all red or blue yet? Y'all blue yet? Just let me know, because South Carolina, I think, is one of those states that I think the Dominion is trying to change blue, but we'll see. Well, thank you very much. Go to our webpage for such a time as this .today, for such a time as this .today, and you can always find our newest material there. And people said, they always, I get some comments saying they want me to remind them that we're on different platforms. Well, we have the perfect person to let us know. Vicki is head of our social media platform. Vicki, I'm not sure. Vicki, what other platforms are we on, social media platforms?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Rumble, and Parler. And, of course, YouTube.
And Odyssey.
That's right, Odyssey. Odyssey looks pretty okay. You know, we're getting some money on it. Well, some crypto.
Some cryptocurrency on it? I haven't looked at it in a while.
Yeah, I saw it. We got some cryptocurrency on Odyssey. All right. Columbia is pretty liberal, but what about South Carolina? Was South Carolina liberal now? All right. So
they have a good governor. I know that.
A good lieutenant governor.
Are we talking South Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a good governor. McMaster, I believe, is his name.
Okay, good. So it's okay. All right. We're going to talk about the battle when it comes to transgenderism in our country. And you know what the sad part about it is? I now have to go to Australian news outlets to get the best news when it comes to American news. Because I'm telling you, even Fox News is not covering a lot of issues. And you know which issues are the most neglected on Fox now?
No.
The LGBT. They will not touch it at all. As a matter of fact, one of their golden talking heads is now Guy Benson, who was married to another man.
Right.
And the other lady, for the longest she was on Fox News, I did not even know she was of the LGBT community until she recently came out and told us. The lady with the dark hair, she's on at night.
Yep. I forgot her name.
Yeah, I forgot her name too. We'll come up with it. But they're big on Fox now.
Claire something?
What's that again?
Was it Claire something? Oh.
No. Dark-haired lady,
Yep.
very articulate, conservative on everything except
Oh, I can
everything
picture her
except
face.
the gay
yes,
thing.
Tammy.
Tammy.
Tammy Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her. Clear on everything except the gay issue. And so here we go. We have to go to Australian news. I love these guys. They don't pull back. Yeah.
Let me
Go
just
ahead.
say something about that. I mean, that is for most people, even I have elderly family members for whom the gay thing is a big fat nothing. But they don't understand that is radical, that it's perversion, that it has led to this place where we now have, males in women's shelters and restrooms, but nobody thinks anything of that anymore. They don't.
Yep.
They have completely bought into it,
Absolutely.
except for Christians. I mean, real
And
Christians.
the Muslims
and
are a little
Muslims.
harder
Okay.
on it. They throw them off of buildings.
True,
But
true.
they can get away with it.
So
Well, Christians can't.
Yeah, but even elderly family members will argue with me about it.
That is amazing to me.
It is too, because they're
That is
old.
amazing.
I mean, they're in
They
their
never would have done that
80s.
30 years ago.
No, and it's nothing. But how do you
think-
get if two men can marry or two women can marry, why can't a man be a woman? If there's no, I mean, that was the first thing to say. There is no difference, right? And now we're erasing all the differences. It's,
Right.
anyway, just wanted to
That's amazing to me.
say that.
Now, I just want to say this. Maybe there's different culturally,
I think there is.
because in the African American community, it's still
Don't play that.
I had and listen, let me be very, very clear, very, very clear. As a Christian, if you advocate violence against anyone of the LGBT community, that's wrong.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely wrong.
100%.
It is sinful. It is hateful. And I question your commitment or even a relationship with Christ if you can ball up your fist and beat someone because they are in that sin, okay? So I'm not advocating it all. It is absolutely wrong. My cousin told me that on the west side of Chicago, was it last year or a year before, it was a big thing, but he said, yeah, but the media is not recording this. Apparently, a guy who was in the neighborhood brought, I don't know, a cousin or a person that he knew to a neighborhood party. And he walked in with the person who had a skirt and breast and all that other stuff, and they started to kiss and slob all on this one person, a gang of them. Well, the problem is one of the guys went up the skirt and grabbed something.
Oh. Which is a problem anyway.
It's a problem anyway.
Okay.
It is very immoral.
Oh my gosh.
Killed him. And killed the person that brought him. Killed both of them.
Where did this happen?
West side of Chicago. But because it wasn't a black neighborhood, it didn't get play. Because my cousin was telling me that story to show that, hey, even in the African American community, still not acceptable. Still not acceptable. And obviously they weren't Christians. Obviously it was an evil act. But within the African American community, I would say by and large, and you have the pockets. You have the pockets of that's it's acceptable, but by and large, still not accepted. Sky News. Meg says she basically stopped watching Fox News. I'll watch Tucker.
Yeah.
Because he'll get off a good one every once in a while. But even Tucker, have you really seen him go after the LGBT community?
No.
I think that's a Fox News thing. They won't do it.
I think you're right.
They won't do it. And what's the other news?
Newsmax.
Newsmax. They won't do it either.
That's like I said. Everybody has just simply accepted that this is no big deal.
And if you cave on this issue,
Right.
but Sky News at least sees the difference, and they can say things. They can say things that we in America still can not.
Well, it's time for Wackademia, the wacky world of academia. James, let's go to James. You've got a bathroom scandal for us, same-sex bathrooms. Here we go.
Well, another bathroom scandal, another week of the Biden administration. A federal judge this week, and this is where these things are really important in the U.S. because, of course, they've got that freedom of religion, which means that, religious institutions shouldn't have secular woke religion pushed on them. Well, not so fast, because a federal judge this week rejected this Christian college's request to bypass new rules under the Biden administration that would force even a religious school to have same-sex dorms, same-sex bathrooms, same-sex shower spaces, even shared bedrooms between genders, all, of course, going against their Christian mission. But now, under the Biden administration, none of that applies because, of course, there's the new woke agenda that everyone has to kneel to.
Rita?
Oh, well, yeah, try doing that with a Muslim school. Try telling an Islamic school that they must have shared dorms and gender-neutral bathrooms. You would get absolutely nowhere. If people choose to send their children to a Christian college with certain values and certain values that they treasure, this is just abhorrent, but this has just been part of the Biden agenda from day one. Remember, day one of his presidency, he signed an executive order that put women's sport in jeopardy by saying that men who identify as women can compete in women's sport.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. All knowing our excellent, glorious leader, Joe Biden, is pushing his agenda. And again, the ironic, sad thing about this is they can push Christians around because we've been so weak for so long.
Yeah.
But had Christians done what is evil, let me be very clear, what is very evil, taking homosexuals and throw them off of buildings as they do regularly in the Muslim world, they're afraid of the Muslims. They're afraid of the Muslims. Now, I say they're afraid of the Muslims, but I think they let Muslims do it because the head of Islam is the same father of the, well, anyway. But this is amazing to me. This is amazing to me. They're telling Christian schools now they cannot separate your daughter from a confused boy. And if this does not cause outrage in the Christian community, you know what? Both of you are smarter than I am. How can you be a Democrat and vote for this if you call yourself a Christian? Vicki, help me out. Tell me, Vicki. You're smarter than I am, Vicki.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. How in the world can you be a Democrat and swallow this if you call yourself a Christian?
Right.
How can you swallow this?
I have no idea. But we do know that people call themselves lots of things. That doesn't make it true.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a daughter going to college in a few months. And to tell parents that they have no right to know if their daughter is going to be sharing a dorm room with a male student, it's just unconscionable. There's just no way around at all making that okay. If you are gender confused as a Christian, I have compassion for you and I want you to get the help that you need, but you don't.
Which, by the way, is spiritual help, not medical help.
First of all, their thinking is they don't need help. You need help.
Exactly. I never used to understand when they would say, I do exist, or you think I don't exist.
You just don't want me to exist.
Now, if I understand now what they're saying, and in a sense, you're right. I don't think transgender people exist.
No, they don't.
Males exist, females
That's
exist.
right.
There's an intersex condition.
That's right.
And if you refuse to accept your sex, your biological sex, you have a spiritual and mental problem, not a physical problem.
And why is it they can discriminate and say they don't want to share a dorm room with someone who is just like them, biologically?
No, it's about acceptance.
But we can't say we don't want to share, our child to share a room with someone.
Right.
The discrimination, they call it discrimination, but they're discriminating
Of course.
Of course.
all day long.
Of course.
And
And
let
that's
me say,
accepted.
too, I mean, these, in the case of men who think that they're women, a lot of them are heterosexual.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I thought we'd had this conversation before, Pastor James.
Right, they're two different things.
Yes.
Gender
Whoa.
identity is one
Yes.
thing, sexual orientation is another thing.
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
Wait.
Two different
Wait,
things.
hold on. So if I'm a male and I think that I'm a female, right? I quote unquote transgender to a female, but I'm still attracted to women?
Yes,
Well, right,
just like
like-
Caitlyn
No,
Jenner.
no,
Exactly.
no.
Yes.
Caitlyn
Jenner.
Jenner is still attracted
First of all,
to
Caitlyn
females.
doesn't exist. You talking
Correct.
about Bruce?
Bruce
Yeah,
Jenner
yes.
is still attracted to females.
Bruce is a special case. Bruce did that to get out of going to prison. That's my opinion.
Huh?
For what?
You don't remember that? He had a vehicular homicide,
No,
and
I
then
don't.
he turned
do.
woman right around that, and he fixed it to where if you attack Bruce, you're attacking the transgender.
Oh.
Bruce did that to stay out of jail. Bruce killed somebody. But anyway, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'm telling
Wait,
you.
wait. So
That-
you telling me
they split those things
I don't-
in two.
I don't get. Again, I have a lot on my plate. It's hard for me to keep up with these things. You telling me that I can be a male who is trans? I think I'm a girl,
Yes.
but I'm still attracted to girls.
Right. What do they say? How do they put that? Lesbian?
Come on
You're a
now.
lesbian trans woman.
I'm a
Yes.
lesbian trans woman.
That is exactly how they
I'm a
describe
lesbian
that.
trans
Yes.
woman with male plumbing.
Yes.
Come on now.
Pastor
That
James,
are
I'm
you
sorry.
serious?
Yeah.
How did I miss this?
I don't know
Are
because
y'all
I
sure?
don't
Are
think
y'all
we've had
sure?
this conversation
we did.
before.
That makes no sense to me. But
And that
Really?
that was one of the things when it came to District 211 here, we talked about, and I asked Vicki about it, and she goes, well, what she said was, if you can allow then lesbians in the locker room who are attracted, obviously, to women, then you can't say no to this. I remember having that conversation
No.
with you.
Well, that
Vicki.
was what some people argued. When we were saying that we didn't want a biological male in the girls' locker room at Friend High School, they said, well, are you going to kick all the lesbians out too?
No.
Because they are based on anatomy and biological sex. You can't, to make public policy, it has to be based on objective fact.
exactly. And J316 just reminded me of something else. Not only is Fox swallowing the LGBT agenda, they're pushing it with Caitlyn Jenner on Sean Hannity, saying that Bruce. They're saying that Bruce is the best candidate for the governorship of California, and Sean Hannity brought Bruce Jenner on his show as though he's a sane, viable candidate.
The funny thing is, he
Unbelievable.
might actually be the best candidate they
No,
have
don't say
out
that,
there.
Abby. No, Abby, I'm not buying that. Abby, come on now. Go
sorry.
Go, Abby. He may have the best policies, but it all goes out the window when you look at him. It all goes out the window.
Well, and I think he's just saying what he thinks Republicans want to hear. Like there
course.
was that clip that went viral when he said he didn't think biological males who identify
Yep.
as female belong on female sports teams, that it's an issue
Yep.
of fairness. But he said the exact opposite in the past.
Oh, did he?
Oh, I did not know that.
Now, here's one thing. I will say this. I think they do those games with Republicans because the Republicans will swallow this. I don't care if you are black, transgender, gay, lesbian, all at the same, all rolled up in one. if you claim to be a Democrat and you pro-life, the Democrats will not swallow it. You've got to go.
Right.
You cannot play on the Democratic side. But now with Republicans, you can be whatever. Whatever. And Republicans swallow that. We saw that here in Illinois with Bruce Rauner.
Yeah. Yep.
Wife was the head of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
But
other Republicans were telling us, you have to vote for him.
Yeah.
We have to support him.
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
remember
good.
that too.
Yep.
Wasn't good. But now here's the dangerous thing that's going on. All the wackiness and all the craziness that's going on. I'm telling you, look at what's going on in the culture. They're turning all the chaos and confusion toward Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Christians are going to start getting the brunt of this.
The blame.
The blame. And I just got a text. We have local politics, if you want, here. We have a teacher that comes to our prayers and will come to our church when she can, who was fired because of critical race theory. And they set up a GoFundMe account to help her fight this off. I was just text. GoFundMe took her down.
Yep.
Yeah, I just
Took
got a text
her
before I
down.
or an email before I came that my donation had been refunded.
Mine too.
And I couldn't.
They found out who she was.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So GoFundMe, you know what? Christians shouldn't use GoFundMe at all now. You have a woman who sits up and says, she rejects critical race theory and says, I'm not guilty of sin simply because of the color of my skin, and is fired. Now, she's got to work out some legal things, but she will be here for such a time as this to give her side of the story, something she's never done. But let's look at this. They are now going to start coming after Christians and folks. They're not hiding it, and they don't care. Watch the wisdom. And if sarcasm, watch the wisdom that flows from MSNBC. Here we go.
Bishop Barber is always saying, evangelical means you're supposed to be bringing the good news to the, to the poor, right? That's supposed to be what you're supposed to be talking about. This thing you just mentioned on the vaccine, this is now going to become a public health problem. White evangelical resistance is now an obstacle, per the New York Times, to the vaccination effort. As you just mentioned, millions of white evangelical adults in the U.S. do not intend to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Mistrust of science, mistrust of et cetera, and also their politics. Now this is a public health issue. What can be done about that if in their churches they're preaching against getting the vaccine? Because that means, I don't know how we get to herd immunity without 28% of the population.
Well, we're not going to get there, first of all. And secondarily, we're going to have a lot of funerals in those churches where they refuse to wear masks and everything else because they believe that Jesus is going to save them and that it's just my time. But again, this is about the selfishness and where evangelicalism has gone. And it's really quite a shame. There are things that have been good historically about the movement, but this anti-science sentiment and the ways in which they are digging their heels in promises to be an absolute debacle for them. When you put this on top of the racism where they're calling, the coronavirus, a Chinese virus, and all of these other things that, their Lord and Savior Donald Trump said, then you have to add up and wonder what is really wrong with these people that they continue to go against the best interests of not just themselves, but the rest of society in order to be recalcitrant. There's nothing about this, absolutely nothing, that says anything about what Jesus Christ taught. It is a movement that is stuck on itself and not on the person who is supposed to be the center of it.
Well, there you have it, Abby.
Oh my gosh.
She just told you as a Christian what you ought to be doing.
That's right, giving the good news to the poor. Now, I'd like to ask her what good news she's talking about and why only to the poor. I suspect it isn't repentance and salvation. But anyway, so you can see here now this is becoming... I keep thinking of, Nero setting the fire to Rome and then blaming the Christians.
Or using Christians as human torches.
Well, yeah, that's a different thing. I'm just being the scapegoat, basically. And I keep seeing this more and more here around the edges. It's not real prevalent yet, but you can see it's growing.
It's growing. Christians are being blamed for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything. We were talking about this in church this Sunday. The devil doesn't have to hide anymore. He's not hiding.
No,
He's
the target is
openly.
clear.
It is clear. It's churches, and again, this is not something to be glossed over. I think we've accepted this, but when the government says abortion clinics are essential, weed stores are essential, for mental health, keep open the liquor stores. They're essential, but
Right.
churches, close them. They're not essential. That is what happened of 2020. That's
Right.
what happened the last 9 months of 2020. The governments, and not all, of course you had South Dakota and some other ones, right? But you had, by and large, Democratic governors tell you flat out, weed stores, alcohol stores, abortion clinics, essential. The church is not.
Right.
That is the story of 2020 from Christians. Democrats, by and large, push that. Again,
Right.
Abby, you're smarter than me. How can and again, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I'm an independent who votes according to the best moral compass of the candidate if he or she is closest to the scriptures. But how do you claim, or how do you support a political party that says those three industries, abortions, weeds, and alcohol, is essential, and the church is not?
How do you
do that?
Again, and I've said this before on this show, if you can come up, I'm still looking for one thing that the Democrats have right. Just one. I've been looking for years. I can't find a single thing.
No, you can't do that. The Democrat governor of Louisiana signed a heartbeat bill.
No. I'm talking
You're
about the
talking about the
Democrat platform. Their policies.
National. Okay, gotcha.
Zero, as far as I can tell. And when we found out last year, I think there were a number of prominent pastors who essentially were telling their congregations it was okay to vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you remember, Mark
Yep,
Dever
I
was
remember
one of
that.
them, I think.
Mark Devers was? That's right.
I know
believe. I know Keller did it, and I know the one up in Minnesota did it too. John Piper. They didn't flat out say it. They said it was okay,
exactly,
conscience-wise, to vote for whoever you want. Now, again, please, is it safe to say Democrats may be evil, but Republicans are stupid?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so
Republicans.
This is not an ad for the Republican Party
No.
by
it's
no means. But I don't. The point is, I don't understand how you can close your eyes to what is going on. Joe Biden is telling Christian colleges, you have to put a male, not secular colleges.
Right.
In Vicki's case, she wants to put her daughter in a Christian school to avoid the foolishness. Well, guess what? Your daughter's not safe in Christian schools either, Vicki.
Right.
Biden wants to put confused males in the dormitories with your daughter.
Right.
You know,
And it's not
I mean,
like
I'll get her the heck out of there if it comes, if it actually happens. But which is what Christian parents have to do. You have to push back.
this is not hidden.
no.
I mean, they've been very upfront and open about their support for this. So, all I can think is that, boy, the devil has been working for such a long time installing wolves in the churches. They're everywhere. I mean, Julie Roy's every week she's got, and there's a whole other, that's a whole other topic of conversation, Julie Roy's, but every other week there's a new revelation of a pastor
She's got a lot of material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why does she have so much material? It's frightening.
Yeah,
And
because
she said she's trying to hire more people.
I think, again, if I'm right, God is actually separating the sheep from the goats. Mm-hmm. And what we are seeing is there are a lot more goats than we thought.
Yes, in leading the churches, which makes sense because if you're Satan, that's who you attack. I mean, that's where you want to go. You want to install wolves to lead the sheep astray, right? And we had friends who actually went to Scotland, who tell the story about a pastor there. I'm probably going to mess it up, but he got kicked out of the church, or he left?
He left. They found out he had raped a few women. They went to go confront him. They confronted him, and then I think Abby, he then admitted he was sent there to destroy the church because he was a devil worshiper from the beginning.
Wow.
And he was sent there to destroy, and that was one of the ways he destroyed the church, by assaulting women in the church. I'm gonna tell you something. I've seen a lot of ugly things being in seminary, knowing people. A lot of ugly things that go on behind closed doors. That's one of the reasons why I've always rejected the big box churches. The mega churches. I've had too many friends look at it. But anyway.
Well, and let me ask you this too. Maybe just so we almost always then when they interview the elders who, after a pastor has been discredited, or like Ravi Zacharias and his board, and they'll say we were just blind.
No, they're lying. They're lying. They're lying.
How can you? Yeah.
They're flat out lying. The two big churches in our area, in which the pastors both fell within the 12 months of each other.
Yes.
When I got to, I was in Illinois less than a year, had never stepped foot. Wait, let me be clear. Let me be fair. I would say within 3 years of being here, had never stepped foot on either one of their campus. I knew what was going on because I had friends from seminary doing internships there, coming back saying, I never went to the church. I knew. Don't tell me you can sit in the church for years. And there were people who knew. There was, I'm sorry, we got real quick, we kind of diverged, but that's okay. There was, on one of the pastors who were discredited, they actually leaked an audio in which they said he was in a room full of people. And he said that he wanted to upload kiddie pornography up on his enemy's computer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said that, did you hear the objections? Did you hear the oohs, the ahs? Did you hear anybody challenge him? Not one person challenged him.
They're all afraid.
And not only are they all afraid, if I was sitting up here and I say something crazy like that, you always say something.
Yeah. You better believe
even
it.
if it's, even if it's, what did you say?
Right.
They said nothing. What does that let you know?
Because they were in a cult. He was their leader.
That lets you know that wasn't the first time they heard something crazy like that.
Right.
And then people started to come out and they let it be known all the stuff that they heard. But anyway.
Yeah, they were desensitized
to it because they heard it over and over again.
Yep.
But the battle lines, they're coming, they're attacking the church. I think they're just simply exposing what's already there. The church is weak. For the most part, we're not standing up against the LGBTQ onslaught, and it is an onslaught.
Yes.
It is an onslaught.
And it has been for a long time.
For a
and
long
I
time.
remember
They keep changing the goalposts, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Yep.
And I remember, like in the early 2000s. Well, I became a believer in 2000, so I don't know why. I've told Pastor James this many times. I almost immediately, that was one of the things that got my attention. I just thought, boy, oh my gosh, if this is true, I'm holding up my Bible figuratively here. If this is true, we are in deep trouble. We are going totally in the wrong direction. And I started watching and looking at news stories and putting two and two together, and like looking at comments posted by LGBT activists online, and how absolutely vicious they were, and reading, and so I'm putting all this information together, but no one, I couldn't find other Christians who were at all concerned. It was very strange, and I almost felt bad, like bringing it up, And when I see that it was in the schools, nobody still wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I really went to battle with myself because I'm like, am I crazy? Am I missing something here?
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? But do we not have a responsibility to our kids and the kids in our youth groups that are in these schools? Do we not?
Yeah.
Does this not matter? What am I missing?
Yeah.
And truly, now they call it gaslighting. Of course, that's the term for it. And I'm not saying they were trying to gaslight me, but honestly, I felt like maybe I'm missing something here that everybody else knows that I don't know, and that's why I'm so upset about this.
Yep. well, let me tell you something, Abby. That's one way to feel out in the pews. I was feeling like that in seminary.
Really? You never told me that. About that issue or a different issue?
If the Bible is true, then you should be behaving a little differently. Mm-hmm. Remember,
Right.
what were the two places people were lusting after for internships? The two big box churches. Right. They were all going there. And I was saying, what am I missing? Wait a minute. You all want to go there? And I'm thinking, isn't that the church that I read was doing A, B, C, D, all this crazy stuff? Isn't that the pastor that even the seminary banned him from? You realize he can go to seminary? He could not. They tried to get Bill Hybels to come to chapel, and he couldn't come.
Really?
Trinity banned him, yeah. I'm telling you, Trinity was different back in the night.
Wait, Trinity banned him, but Trinity approved internships at his
figure.
church?
Go figure. I could be wrong.
That doesn't make
I
any
could
sense.
be, but I'm pretty sure I was told from people on staff who work at the chapel, he could not
Oh my gosh.
come.
Doesn't this get back to
It didn't make sense. It didn't
the
make sense.
ability to suspend or deny, to be in denial about things you don't want to deal with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier.
That is a dangerous place for a quote-unquote Christian to be.
But that's obviously what happened at Harvest and Willow. People knew what they was, some people knew what was going on, and they just convinced themselves that they didn't want, or they didn't want to deal with it, and they convinced themselves somehow that it wasn't that bad.
Vicki,
maybe.
the rot. Do you know what happened to me at the end of 2015 when I realized how bad the rot was? When I was told what was going on in the public school system, somebody called me and said, "Can you just come read Genesis 1:26?" Sure, any pastor would do that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That was such an
Right.
eye-opening experience. And I promise, Vicki, I will get pastors there to simply read the Bible.
Yeah. We sent
Couldn't
out.
do it.
We sent out to
Couldn't
like
do it.
90 some local churches.
Probably more than that. Yeah.
It was
That's
at
about
least
right.
90. I
It's
think
right
I
around
counted.
Yeah.
And no, well, with the exception of Cal,
But I didn't send to him because he's not in district, but he was there.
but he was there.
Oh, he was there.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kirkwood was there, and Vandermeer, yeah, he was there.
And that was it.
That was it. And that's why the LGBT community has continued to march.
Right.
And Christians, if you think you are safe in your four walls, you are so blind, you are so short-sighted, you're so naive.
And if you think it's nice, because you want to be a nice person, so you just want to go along to get along. Well, it's not nice to go against God's word. It's not nice to affirm people in their sin, because it's a sin. Like there are many other sins. And as Christians, we're supposed to hold each other accountable for all of our sins.
Yeah.
And that's love. It's not nice to affirm people and tell them their sin is good, because that's leading them.
Right.
And God will do it. And so what we see is the church not being salt, not being light. And what you have going on in our culture is downright scary.
Yes.
It is spreading so fast. The next clip he's a reporter who was down in the area of Minneapolis where George Floyd was killed. And he's giving a a newscast at the memorial. You will see it, and gunshots ring out. Now, here's what's most shocking to me. Usually, if I'm going to shoot you, I'm gonna wait till there's no cameras around. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until the sun goes down.
Right.
What you're seeing is going to be two clips. We're transitioning from the battle lines of being drawn in the LGBT community to the absolute lawlessness that is taking place in our culture. I'm going to at least wait till the camera stops so I cannot be identified. But what you're seeing, these two clips, it is utter contempt for law and order. It is utter disregard for the politicians. It's people who do not believe that their government will hold them accountable. It goes on for a little while, but I want you to see the gunfire, and then the cameraman shows them running in between cars behind buildings and stuff. It is amazing how far we've come in such a short period. Here's the clip. Someone sent it to me. It's amazing.
Well, look, it's not going to be signed in time, at least according to the timeline that the White House and US President Joe Biden had. They wanted this bill of comprehensive police reform to be... Just got to be careful here with some gunshots. Excuse us, excuse us. It sounds like gunshots. I'll let you know what this is. These seem to be gunshots.
Get down!
Shit, where is that?
We're okay.
We're just gonna go.
Let's go. Down. Lay down. I'm right here. Hey, you right here. Okay, stop. I'm right here with you. Come on, let's say
In broad daylight, with no disregard for that daggone camera. It's just, and this is in the neighborhood where George Floyd died. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I've seen this story before. Something happens in the neighborhood. People get upset at the police, call the police evil and a whole bunch of other unsavory names. And the police respond by saying, fine, if you don't like us, then we won't come. Happens in Chicago almost every night. Happened in Baltimore with Freddie Gray. Now with George Floyd, the police says, if you don't like us, then we just, you know what? We're not going to come where we're not wanted. And so they don't come, and the neighborhood plummets.
Right.
Because the police are reluctant to put themselves in a situation to where they be called racist and murderers. They pull out.
Well,
And the neighborhood
it's
just
worse
goes
than that.
wild.
I mean, they can get prosecuted if they have to shoot the wrong person, the wrong color person.
Yep.
That can be the end
Yep. Yep.
for them.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. 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 And so you pull out. And again, have you ever seen anything? Total disregard for the video. They don't. Just total disregard.
It's hard to watch, honestly.
Total disregard. Shooting.
But we are reaping what we have sown
Of
as a
course.
nation.
Of course. Of course, we're reaping what we sow. Of course we are. And it's so horrible. Now, there were reporters and cameras running. This next video You want to talk about disregard? The police was called. And look at how the police was treated.
And a St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department vehicle seen here destroyed upon arriving to a scene with the officer inside that vehicle. The department gave us this video and is now asking for help in identifying those responsible. This was the scene around 2:30 Sunday morning in the 1500 block of Washington. Multiple people stomping, kicking, and jumping on a St. Louis City police car. Police say 13 calls came in to disband a large party on the top floor of an apartment building. Police also say as the responding officers tried to break up the crowd of about 100 people, they began congregating outside. Additional officers responded, and the crowd started vandalizing one cruiser here with the officer inside. The officer was not injured, but someone in the group was able to open the passenger side door. A citywide officer in need of aid call went out, and other cars responded quickly. That's when the mob fled in different directions. No arrests were made at that time. Mayor Tashara Jones addressed the incident first thing this morning. Here's the official statement from her media department. Our office has reviewed the video of people jumping on our patrol cars this weekend. While I'm thankful our officers responded quickly and dispersed the crowd without conflict or injury, I'm disappointed in those people. People who will now have to face consequences for their behavior. Let me be clear. You can go out and have a good time without all this nonsense. If we are committed to building a stronger city, we need to show some courtesy and respect. SLMPD is currently investigating those seen jumping on the police car in this video here. They are asking for the public's assistance in identifying anyone seen in this video destroying the car or those who posted about doing so on social media. Once again, the officer in that vehicle was unharmed. Now, gunshots were also fired in that area, that same area, shortly after the incident. You can call the police department with any information, and you can also remain anonymous. Plus, if interested, you can also call Crime Stoppers for a reward at 866-371-TIPS.
Hey, thugs in St. Louis, your mayor is very disappointed in you. Very, very disappointed. And she wants you to know that you can have fun without doing that.
Yeah, there's other ways to have fun.
There's other ways to have fun. You don't have to do that. She's very disappointed in you. Now, here's my thing. Think like a person who's calling. Why should I call Crime Stoppers? You had police right there and wouldn't do nothing.
Right.
So why would I call and risk the thugs finding out who I am?
Right.
You can't protect yourself.
Right.
Police.
Well, it did say that that more police showed up and everybody
Abby,
ran. Just
that
saying.
would have never happened in New Orleans in the 80s.
Oh, I
that
agree.
policeman would have emptied his clip, all 8 of them in that crowd. This is total disregard for the police. The police have no respect. They don't fear the police.
Yes, and
this
is because of the current climate.
They don't fear them. This is ridiculous.
Well, and it's worse than that. I mean, they've been completely slandered.
As I've heard, the police have been completely neutered.
Mm-hmm.
They're
by their own mayors in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I couldn't be a police. I'll tell you that right now. I couldn't be a police. You ain't supposed to let
nobody's
nobody jump on
backing
your
them
car.
up. Nobody's got their back.
I'd be fired.
The mayors are
Big
so
guy, I'd be
weak.
fired. I'd be
Yeah,
fired.
Lori Lightfoot with
Oh my
that scene
gosh.
at the
be fired.
fountain.
I'd
Was
be
it
fired.
Buckingham Fountain? Where they're surrounded by the crowd throwing ice, frozen water bottles and fireworks. Wasn't it
Yeah.
last summer?
Yep.
What?
And then you got the district attorney, even if they, arrest people and have the evidence, the
Right.
district attorneys do nothing. They don't.
Kim Fox?
They just let them walk. Kim Fox. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
oh.
Who was, I want to say she was reelected, but who knows if she was reelected at this point.
She was able to keep her office. That much we can say.
Yes.
That much we can say. But Christian, if we don't wake up, Because, see, I still think people think they're safe in their suburbs, safe in their church pews.
Yeah.
This is growing like crazy.
Yeah.
Chicago is, I mean, did you see, I saw on one news outlet that New York had some crazy shooting. I don't know, like 20 with 3 dead or something. Chicago had 49 with 9 dead. I mean, almost tripled New York. Chicago's the worst city
we are
in the country. And this is our backyard. And it's just, it's unbelievable how fast it's going.
And I said to you, because it was news to me, although you told me you already knew. When I found out, it was like a couple of months ago, that the number one cause of death for black men between the ages of 0 and 43 is murder by other black men. And it isn't even close. If you, white black murders aren't even close. White on white murder doesn't hold a candle. Black on black, yet we're told to believe that the problem is that there's an epidemic of murder by police of black men.
But Abby, the number one problem facing the African American community is police brutality. Don't you know that?
Exactly. Right.
Don't you know that?
Don't look at this over here.
Obvious.
Just keep moving.
That's obvious, Abby. Come on. Get with the narrative. Meg says I saw this one a while ago. She, although I'm not sure if it's ignorance or calculated lies. I think she was talking about Republicans, and you might be right. She agrees that she's about the shocking number of goats. I mean, I figured that out in 2015.
Yeah.
When this happened with the parents for privacy, and there was nobody.
No.
We
got no response.
I was floored. Abby, you wrote an article, remember back then, that went
Yes.
sort of semi-viral. Where have all the shepherds gone?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
at that
Remember that?
first school board meeting, there were like 400 to 500 upset parents and community members there.
Yep.
And Pastor James, I think you were the only pastor
that night. I think
that
so.
night, and I thought,
That night.
where?
Yep.
And they're like sheep without a shepherd.
Yep.
Was my thinking.
Yep.
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 And they still are. They just don't know it in a lot of cases.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Again, it's going fast.
And like you and I were saying earlier, this kind of coordination that everything is happening at once, and the attack is from outside the church, it's from the government, it's from
The medical
the
community.
media, the medical. Yes, who saw that coming? I sure didn't.
I didn't either. And then soon is going to be, what's the last shoe that's going to drop? The financial community. Inflation is on the rise. Hopefully that stops, because I want to go see some football games, some college football games. That
Right.
the tickets is about $800. I get them for free, but I'm not convinced I'll be able to enjoy it.
And in now the woke Christianity, our church is a part of the Southern Baptist Convention right now.
Today.
Yes. And we are heading down to that convention in June
Yep.
in order to try to wrestle
Yep.
it back from the wokesters
Yep.
who have been running it now for a while.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere, between the pastors that are wolves and the woke thing and the, I don't even know what you want to call it. It just tells me that, people could not have coordinated all this.
No, this is spiritual.
Yes.
This to be in so many areas, on so many fronts,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Any one of them
across
would be
the globe.
very serious.
Across the
And
globe.
you're right. It's worldwide. And any one of them would be a big deal. But to have them all
Yep.
at once.
At the same time, And I'm told in other parts of the world, we talk about lockdowns and stuff.
Right.
India is horrible. Australia is horrible. In Africa, there's some parts in Africa, horrible. Lockdowns, I mean,
Yeah.
the government has put their foot on people's necks and they have not let up.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
And follow the science. Oh my gosh, I wish we had science, but we don't even have science anymore.
well, now they're starting, the liberal media is starting to admit, yeah, maybe this came from a lab.
A lab. I think it's safe to say that now, right?
I think it's safe to say that now.
Yeah.
Because up until the 2020 election, everything bad was with the origin of one man.
Right. And he had
One
orange
man.
hair.
Orange man bad. Well, that pretty much does it for us. Let's not leave on a bad note. I say a bad note. We can't do a bad note. But here's the thing. Yes, J13 Resolution 9 needs to go. Tom Askell will submit that, and we are going to get rid of, hopefully, Resolution 9. That'll let us know in the morning. If we can get rid of Resolution 9, then I think the presidency will fall our way, and then the Southern Baptists will be resaved. If not, maybe a short trip down into Nashville, but we'll see.
Yeah.
How do we? Let's end this on a positive note, ladies.
Okay.
Jesus is still in control.
Yep.
Yes. Amen.
If it continues to go the way I think it's going, and I think about this. There's a reason why, right when Jesus jumped on a cloud, his disciples says, "Are you now going to restore the kingdom? Please restore the kingdom now." Because what the disciples was looking forward to is actually ruling the kingdom with Christ. And so just think about this. Think about this. We all know what it's like to live in a world ruled and dominated by Satan and his lies.
Mm-hmm.
If we are part of the privileged generation, and if we see Christ coming back in our lifetime, first of all, we're going to have to die. But then if we're resurrected, as I think Revelation 20 says, those who die underneath the Antichrist will, I know it says that, we'll be resurrected and we'll be part of the administration of the world government. Right? You can have Chicago, you can have Dallas. I'll take.
You're gonna give me Chicago?
I'll take. Yeah, because you like the snow. I'm taking Honolulu. I'll take Honolulu or Kingston, Jamaica. So, wouldn't that be unbelievable to experience something like that?
Yes.
It was so wonderful that people for the last 2,000 years was looking forward to it. I mean, they were coming up with some crazy Christ coming back, and then you look at their reading like, how could you think that? No. Mm-hmm. For the first time in history, we have the technology to actually bring to fruition what's in Revelation. We have it. One world government. They're pushing it, whether we like it or not. The one world government, the one world currency, this cryptocurrency. I'm telling you, it is the technology. They're still working it through, but they're working out the technology for a one world currency, they're calling for it.
They have credit cards for
Mm-hmm.
What is it called? Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, cryptocurrency. Yeah. And they said the feds are now going to start looking into cryptocurrency. The feds, who are already worldwide, they're a worldwide financial system. Yeah. The Federal Reserve is in every country.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
No, I don't think I did either.
Every major country, absolutely.
Wow.
There were two countries who were pushing against the feds. This is an interesting article. Two countries pushing against the feds back in the early 2000s.
Oh, I know who. Well,
yep.
Libya is going to be one of
Yep,
them.
Libya and Iraq. So, but they were also trying to go on a gold currency, which would have defeated the fiat money from the Federal Reserve. But anyway, what a privilege it would be. And so if things continue to get bad, and they continue to go from bad to worse, the scripture that encourages, lift up your head, for your redemption draws near. And I'm hoping for it. I'm sorry. I want a city here on this earth before we go to glory. Then we can get some other stuff. But I think that would be neat. I think it would be. Daniel said, "Blessed is he who makes it to 3.5 years." John says the same thing. Now, Abby, I thought you were convinced that. Well, I don't. I
That
don't
is the
know.
silver. That
I
would
don't
be
know.
the silver lining.
That
in a
would be the
very
silver
dark
lining,
cloud.
and I'm not sure. I don't. Things are just like you. This is not human hands doing this. This is clearly not human hands doing this. It's too broad. It's too pervasive. This is not human hands.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I shouldn't say this, but this is not normal stupidity. This is not normal. This is not human stupidity.
Yeah, if so, I've vastly overrated human intelligence my entire life. If this is
Well,
not spiritual,
I've said a long time. I've lost faith in humanity a long time ago when it comes to their own wisdom and power. All right, who's next? You can't leave us on a sour note. Who wants to go next?
Well, I think I've said this before.
Okay.
These dark times give us an opportunity to show what we're made of.
Yes, absolutely.
And we just
Absolutely.
have to keep pushing back, especially if you have children and you're Christian parents. You need to stand up against all this evil that is happening in Illinois and around the country. Like the president of College of the Ozarks, Christian college, he's standing up. He's pushing back.
Good.
So there are places you can send your
Vicki,
children
where the
to
rest
college.
of where are the rest of Christian college presidents? Where are they?
I don't know. I mean, they don't. I mean, hopefully, some of them, when they actually, had an issue with a student wanting access, they would say no. Because we don't actually have that at the College of the Ozarks. This is standing up against the executive order proactively. But maybe some of the other schools, when
They
it
should be with
became,
them, though.
they would react properly
But
and
no,
push
go
back.
on the offense.
Agreed.
I mean, if you've got one guy standing up to say, hey, you know what?
There
We
should
at
be-
such and such Christian college, we agree with them, and we're going to stand with them. You try that stuff, we ain't doing.
Right. That's a good point. Why aren't there other ones standing along with them? Right.
What do they think is not coming to
right?
their school?
Come on,
Right.
wait for the alligator to eat them last.
Yeah. All right, Abby, give us something.
Well, and I've said this before too, but I am depending on supernatural help, and I pray for it all the time. I think we need to be in our Bibles, and we need to be in prayer, and we need to fast. And the one real ray of hope for now is just for me, especially because I have a lot of unsaved family members. That somehow this will jar them they will lose hope in this world and start looking elsewhere, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I feel sorry for people who still have hope in this world.
Well, that's most people, because I think denial is the norm.
You know what? And maybe we do need to do a round table on this topic and look at things in the culture. We were talking about how I think humans are, it's incredible their ability to be self-deceived and how they will choose to believe in things that they know aren't true to suspend reality.
Right. Just simply
To
not
suspend
deal
belief.
with it.
I don't want to deal with it.
So I put it in a box. I'll set it aside.
Yeah, it's
do
just-
what I want to do.
And I think I think humans do that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I do it sometimes.
I do it sometimes, just to get through the workday, just gotta.
Well, workday,
Or
I get
even-
it, but to make a lifestyle of
Right,
it.
right. Yeah, it becomes a habit.
Yes.
You put it in a box for a little bit. Oh, let's keep it there. Let's
Yep.
keep it there.
Yep. Yeah, and that's
Just hoping against hope that it all blows over.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't think it's going to blow over, folks.
all right. Thank you for visiting us. We're back after many weeks. Had a good turnout to say we haven't been here for a while. We look forward to being with you all next time. Until then, Jesus is still on the throne.
Amen.
God bless. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
such a time as this.